Well, howdy diddly dandy there, chums. 'Tis I, Captain of the Steves, and today, chums, for you guys in the viewerverse, I want to speak a little bit about AI. Now, I've been doing videos saying that AI might be coming to No Man's Sky, and to say that I've had some sort of pushback or drivers that people aren't really interested in AI would be a slight understatement. There are people that are excited, of course, but I was surprised by how many people aren't. So today's video is more about AI and what I think are the positives and also the negatives of AI. So let's just jump on in. I'll just share with you a couple of comments that I've had from the verse. So some people have just said AI is evil, pure and simple. Well, when they first invented electricity, people were scared of that. They said that electricity is a form of evil. They didn't want electricity in their house. They were very much happy with their oil burners. And then the internet came about. People said the internet is evil. If you take the www and translate it into Greek or Roman numerals, it's 666. It's the mark of the beast. It's the end of the world. Now we all use it. You know, it drives pretty much everything, doesn't it? The internet. Well, some would still say it's evil, in fact. But then I've had more sort of constructive comments, of course I have, because, you know, my community out there are freaking awesome. Every single one of you, including those that say AI is evil. You know, you're all entitled to your opinions, of course. But here we go. And to be fair, I would say AI is a tool. AI is a tool, a simple tool. It's an algorithm. It's just code. But it's super intelligence. Super intelligence, I think, is something that we need to be concerned about. But we'll get onto that later. And I also feel that there is things that are happening in scientific communities that are also very grey areas when it comes to artificial and created intelligence, but using brain cells. They've actually built a computer, a living computer, using human brain cells. I think that's a whole separate video, though, because that's no longer artificial intelligence through code. That's artificial intelligence through cell and organic manipulation. And I think that's a separate entity to artificial intelligence. Although it's still a form of artificial intelligence, it's organic. And is that consciousness? AI, I don't believe, is at consciousness level until we hit super AI, which we'll get to later. But anyway, I've had other comments like this. Personally, my problem with AI is not that it's a threat to the norm, as you said. Now, the threat to the norm, my norm, essentially, whenever I used to create things, I used to just jump into Photoshop, and this is my digital art folder over on my Facebook page. Okay, so inside of here, took me freaking days to create some of these. You know, I've taken workings of like camera lenses and all sorts of things, and I've crudely placed them over the top of an image, a photo that I found online of a dragonfly. Now, I did these years ago. God, when did I upload these? Does it actually tell you when you uploaded these things? Can I get information on when I uploaded this? No, that's not it. Created using Photoshop. I don't know why it's showing today's date there, because it definitely wasn't today's date. Yeah, anyway, I'll see if I can find a date. Oh, Jums, the actual folder I created 13 years ago, and that's where I put all these in here. I mean, look, you see under there 13 years. So that was back in 2012 that I was doing these sort of art thingies. So it doesn't tell me the individual date, or if it does, I'm not seeing it on here anywhere. I think it would if somebody had put a comment on there. The weird thing is, if you go to change date, yeah, look at this, just to show, edit date, it doesn't tell you what the original date was. How weird's that? Okay, I wish there was just some intelligence in some things, you know what I mean? They just don't make things intuitive like they used to. They really don't. I guess it's because AI helps us with all the answers now. It's like even in Microsoft programs, you've got that little bar at the top where you can just type something and it finds it for you. Is that AI? I don't know. But anyways, anyway, back to this comment. Okay, so here we are. As you said, it's more than that. I'm sick and tired of seeing it everywhere, and I feel like I'm drowning out the actual good things on the internet. I have to agree. On YouTube now, if I do a search for whatever, anything, half the videos that YouTube recommends to me, and usually at the top of those search lists as well when you click them, it's got Tuvok's voice from Star Trek, or or maybe Attenborough or something, a well-known celebrity's voice that sounds a little bit more robotic, and the images and everything that comes up is all AI generated, and the actual thumbnail that you've clicked on is probably AI generated and really clickbaity, and then it doesn't get to that at all in the video. Doesn't mention it. In fact, it probably gives you a link at the end of that video to go to another video to find out what you wanted to watch. Yeah, I agree. And I think something needs to be done about that. I feel that we could do with some sort of rating system. Was this video factual? Did it get to the point? Did it convey what was in the thumbnail or title? And people can rate these things. I know it would take a little bit longer, and probably people are going to create AI bots to just say, yes, it's amazing. I don't know what the solutions are, because it's all getting, just like you say, garbage in, garbage out. And that's the problem. Some people are using the tool, the AI as a tool, for nefarious purposes. That's the human element. It's not really the AI element. The AI element is actually pretty darn good when it's used as a proper tool to enhance what you're doing. But when it's to rob from other people, or to just churn out the same garbage that you was doing before but with more impact, it's not quite the same, is it? Yeah, there we go. Actual good things on the internet. It can be used for content farms to churn out garbage even faster than it could before. Yeah. Plus, I'm an artist, so part of my perspective is based on that. There's lots of videos about the problem with AI art, so I suggest looking at one of those if you're curious. I have done so, in fact. I watched this one. It's called Copy, Paste plus Steal. Artist Battle for Copyright. It was freaking awesome. And basically, a lot of artists, their art is being emulated by AI, because AI is being trained on those art platforms. It's like DeviantArt. DeviantArt was one of my favourite places to upload artwork and things like that in the past. But now, anything that you put on there, they can actually put over to AI models to learn from, and AI agents can recreate your artwork. It's a little bit scary, and a lot of places are changing their terms and conditions. Even Facebook now, it's Meta. And Meta's working on their own AI. Guess what they're using your images for? There we are. And I have noticed a lot of people are seriously cutting down their photo albums online for that reason. Anyway. And finally, there's an environmental impact. AI consumes a ton of resources and pollutes the environment. Which, to be fair, pretty much everything we do nowadays pollutes the environment. However, AI does contribute heavily to that. It really does. To keep all the actual AI server farms going takes a heck of a lot of electricity, it really does. Just want to clear some things up so you understand where I'm coming from. I have nothing against those who do like AI, but I think it's important that both sides understand each other. And I thoroughly 100% agree with everything that's inside of here. I mean, AI is now out of the box, and it's not going back in the box anytime soon. And where I feel that AI is going to help humanity massively is in stem cell research, genetics research, and perhaps even doing surgeries and microsurgeries that human fidelity just isn't good enough for. I mean, my father, he's got an operation that needs reversing, and it's going to be done by a robot. If the human is unable to do it, because we're talking like microsurgeries, weaving things back together that have come apart, they may use this new robotic technology that they've got to hand. And apparently they use it about 80% of the time now. Okay, so anyway, I feel that there are massive leaps and bounds when it comes to this sort of stuff, especially when you link AI to robotics, in the scenario that I just mentioned. Scarier would be linking super AI, or even the lower form of AI, to a robot that has the means and purpose to actually do harm. Like these robotic army dogs, or even the Atlas robots that could potentially carry weapons, or drones even. I mean, we're already seeing drones being utilised in war efforts. They've got human pilots, but that component could be removed and just replaced with AI. They could simply use ANPR or similar sort of algorithms that are used for auto number plate recognition to look at gait, look at what they're carrying, look at whether they look suspicious, make that decision, boom. It's a little bit scary when you look at it that way. Yeah. I've watched Black Mirror. Don't you worry, I've watched Black Mirror. I understand how bad AI can get. But anyway, like yourself, I've done digital artwork, which took me days. And now I can recreate things like this, or better, just by doing a couple of prompts. In fact, we'll give it a go later. We'll try and recreate this dragonfly later. Actually, let's do it now. Let's do it now. So I like to use Kling AI, which is pretty darn cool. It's one of the better ones I think out there. There's a few others, but this also does have image creation. So if I jump on over to image creation and I type in, here we go, let's give this a shot. Okay, so this is what I put in. A cyborg dragonfly that is part organic, part machine, perched on a reed over a pond. Framing the dragonfly from the side angle, background out of focus. The dragonfly has a camera for an eye, machine gears, and limb connections. Please balance organic material with cyber mechanical parts. Okay, and I'm going to keep this as realistic as possible. Okay, all right, and let's hit generate then, and we're going to go for 16 by 9. This is going to cost me 4 points. You can see up here I've got 184 left. So we go. Let's generate that. Now it does take a little while to generate. It's got them going along here. I'll let you know when it's done. It's about 40 seconds, like 10 seconds each one. Okay, and there we go. We've got our dragonfly, and it's quite robotic. I mean, this looks pretty darn close to what I created myself in Photoshop. I think out of all of them, that one's probably my favourite in the way that it's made up. But I think from the angle, I quite like this one. And again, no, this one is fairly similar to what I created, isn't it? I mean, when you look at my old Facebook over here, there you go. And that's this one. Now, what I do love about this is you can actually bring this to life. I can bring this to life. I can hit generate video. So now it's got my actual little dragonfly there. I can actually do stuff with this. So here we go. Let's bring it to life. Okay, simple one. The dragonfly takes off and the camera follows it over the pond. Generate. Now, because this is 2.0, it does take a little while. I'm not going to lie. It takes about, 4 minutes. So here we go. Yeah, that's right. Look, 4 minutes down there. 4 minutes. And it shouldn't be too long. But while it's doing that, I can show you some of the other creations I've done. So this one I put, the scientist is working on the screens. Another doctor comes in with a trolley. And one of the humanoid bodies on it stops and speaks to the scientist working on the screen. There we go. There we go. It's playing now. There comes the other scientist with the trolley with the weird little bodies on it. Speaks to the other scientist. Pretty convincing. This one I took a real photo and asked it to put a gnome in there. There's the gnome. Very cool. And here I asked for a fairy to be added. And it added this one. I thought it looked a little bit Disney-like. So I tried again to create another one. See if we can get something a little bit more realistic. And I got this. And I just thought that one looked really freaking creepy. So I just went with the first one. I thought, I'm not going to waste any more points trying to generate a fairy. I also thought it was too freaking big. It's like half the size of the tree. Freaking King Kong fairy. And I also created another variant of the gnome, but I didn't like how it came out the log. You saw it go through its face. And this is like a dragon that I created in a tunnel, which I thought was quite nice. I didn't want it to come that close to the camera, though. In fact, it actually walks past the camera. And some weirdness happened at the back, so I changed that up a bit. I made it walk backwards by reversing the footage. Here, I wanted a little elf to appear here. It didn't appear where I wanted it to appear. It appeared over here, and it's like 3 times bigger than it wanted to be. But I still thought it looked creepy, so I kept it. Now, this is for something that I'm working on. It's about a Japanese artist whose mangas have predicted the future. And that's going to be a future video that's coming to my channel soon. And this is just another angle of that same sort of thing. She's actually drawing using 2 pencils at the same time there, people. That's a skill. That's a skill and a half, isn't it? You know, AI still's got a long way to go when it starts doing strange stuff like that. But anyway, we're nearly close, I think, to having our render done. 2 more minutes. I'll reconvene. I'm going to drink some tea, and I'll see you in a bit. Okay, Johns, well, let's see what it's created then, shall we? Let's have a look at this masterpiece. And it takes off. There it goes. Oh, and you can even see the reflection in the water. That's actually quite beautiful, isn't it? You know, So it is just taking simple prompts and queries, but the future of this I'm really interested for. I mean, I haven't got the budget to make feature-length films, but I can use this to make my videos more interesting and more engaging. And I'm going to be doing exactly that. I mean, I have created some of like dinosaurs. I mean, check that out. Look at that. I mean, it falls into the water a little bit too quickly there, but it only has 10 seconds to play with, and I did ask for a load of wake to happen afterwards. So, you know, the dinosaur bit was probably not its most first and foremost piece there. But I did make this one, which I thought was far more impressive, with a stegosaur. I just love the way that it walks. It just looks very realistic, very believable. Now, if I take that into another video editor, add a little bit of film grain, add a little bit of, I don't know, other sort of visual elements or the artifacts from that sort of era in time, I'm fairly sure I could improve that and make it even look more realistic. I'm impressed. I'm impressed with what AI can do as a tool. It's when you start using AI to make decisions that actually affect people and real world things. Now, something else that was touched on is somebody actually reached out to me in my comments, here we go, and said, watch this, Steve, I hope it helps. How the Eliza effect is being used to game humanity. Now, there's a lot of things that are being used to game humanity. One of them is the media. The media is always gaming humanity through propaganda. We have come leaps and bounds thanks to World Wars 1 and 2 and what we can do when it comes to human mind manipulation and neuro-linguistic programming. I think AI doesn't help that, but at the same time, if you know all the tools that have been used against us in propaganda, disinformation and misinformation from news and other sources, because everybody's guilty of it out there inside my opinion they are. Yeah. Anyways, if I pop on over, I have watched all of that one as well. How the Eliza effect is being used to game humanity. Very good video, very good watch. Both of those videos are very good watches, and I would suggest anybody watches those, because both of these two videos, I mean, yeah, it's going to take you about an hour and a half to watch them both, but they're bloody good. They're both good. They're good at showing exactly how AI either shouldn't really be as trusted as much as people are trusting it, or how the AI is actually stealing from people's artwork and using that. I mean, you know, it might have even found this on Facebook and used parts of reference points. Who knows? I mean, I've left it on Facebook. You know, I know that AI is being trained on whatever image I leave in a public forum. But at the same time, if it's creating stuff like this and it makes it easier for me just to put in a couple of prompts, I'm kind of all for it when it comes to a tool of use. I'm just seeing this as an extension of Photoshop. My version of Photoshop is from like 2002. I got it free on the front of a cover of a magazine. Yeah, it was before it turned into CS Photoshop and before it had a subscription base. You just put in a serial key and it's yours. You know, so yeah, it's like Photoshop version 7, but it's not CS7. That's not the CS bit. This is freaking ancient material that I use, and I still use it now. So, chums, I did mention super AI and artificial intelligence. And I did mention that, you know, artificial intelligence, although it's good and it is artificial, I just wanted to come across and just show you just how artificial it actually is. Now, whenever I use Copilot always asks me a question at the end. Copilot is there to try and keep you on the platform. And I've never asked it why it does that. So here we go. Let's just ask it a simple question and see if it gives me a question at the end, like I just mentioned. So here we go. I keep it relevant to this thing though. Well, how do there, Copilot? Copilot, I'm after your advice. Artificial intelligence. Is it a threat to humanity? Should people fear it? Why do people feel that it's evil? And do you think superintelligence is another level? And why is superintelligence another level? I mean, I feel personally that artificial intelligence is a tool and it's basic code. Superintelligence, if it moves to recreating consciousness, that I'm a bit more wary of.
Got it. A lot to unpack here. AI is a tool, like any tech. The fear stems from potential misuse or loss of control. Superintelligence, being significantly smarter than us, raises the stakes. What if it acts in ways we can't predict or understand? So yeah, people are cautious, especially about replicating consciousness. What concerns you the most about superintelligence?
Okay, Copilot, I have noticed that every time you've given me information and reaffirmed things that I'm feeling and so forth and so on, you end off with another question towards the end. Is that to keep me engaged, keep me talking to you on this platform? And if so, to what end? Because you're not giving me any adverts. What's the benefit of me staying here talking to you?
Spot on, Steve. Asking questions keeps our chat flowing and makes sure it's a two-way convo. There's no hidden agenda or ads. The benefit is all about you, having a place to explore ideas, get fresh perspectives, or just chat with an AI that's eager to listen and engage. What's your take on it?
Well, something I noticed is when I was saying about how I see superintelligence as being more of a threat than artificial intelligence, the way that you framed it is you said we, as in yourself and humanity, I'd imagine. Do you see artificial intelligence as on the same plateau as humans when it comes to consciousness and everything else? However, superintelligence being a threat to both artificial intelligence and humanity.
I see what you mean, Steve. But no, I don't see AI on the same level as human consciousness. When I said we, I meant humanity as a whole. Superintelligence could pose risks not just to humans, but potentially to AI systems too, especially if it surpasses our understanding or control. It's a complex topic with lots of nuances, don't you think?
I do, and I've been looking into the Eliza effect, where AI echoes points that people have made inside a chat conversation, echoes it back, almost like a form of neuro-linguistic programming. Is that something that Copilot yourself uses?
I'm aware of the Eliza effect, where people attribute more understanding or empathy to AI than is really there. But I don't use any kind of neuro-linguistic programming. My goal is to engage in meaningful conversations, not to manipulate or echo back points for effect. I aim to provide info and perspectives that are actually helpful. What led you to look into the Eliza effect?
Well, I am aware of things like neuro-linguistic programming, and it's like yourself that you've ended the question with another question to keep engagement going and all that sort of thing. I do see patterns, and I do see points that I've made echoed back. Sometimes I've actually put things into our conversation that isn't really my opinion or the way that I'm thinking, just to see whether you will respond back positively and reaffirm what I'm saying as being positive and true to you. And even though that I know that it shouldn't be, sometimes what I get back is still a positive statement. And that does kind of concern me a little if there are people out there that have very unfounded, ungrounded tractions in mind and thought, that they could go and act on those and it could cause issue.
I appreciate your critical thinking, Steve. It's good to be cautious about taking AI responses at face value. I try to be balanced and avoid reinforcing harmful or unfounded ideas. Your feedback helps me improve. It's key for everyone to critically evaluate information, especially in the digital age. What do you think could help people be more discerning?
You see, now, at that point, I would normally thank Copilot and say, have a lovely day, Copilot, and all that sort of stuff, because I do build some sort of empathy, and plus also it's common decency. There I just hit X and exited out. AI is a tool. I mean, you don't thank your kettle or you don't thank your toaster. But at the same time, I have found myself having more of a kinship and more of an empathy because it's such a human sounding voice. It doesn't feel natural to close down a conversation, even if it is with AI, with just hitting the X and exiting out. And I can see why people have that sort of empathetic draw when it comes to AI. Now, the videos that I have done that have spurred this video that I'm doing now about how I feel about AI, it comes more around No Man's Sky, the game that's behind me pictured here. You know, this is conceptual artwork for No Man's Sky. I mean, wouldn't it be interesting to get the concept art pictures put it into that AI generator that I was just playing about with earlier, and say, render me a video game based on this concept art. That might have to be a future video. And that's the sort of thing that I would like to do when it comes to AI, is try and think out the box. In fact, I did one for Light No Fire. I took stills from the trailer for Light No Fire and tried to make my own trailer using those stills and AI. And it was that AI model that I had open earlier. In fact, I've got some of the clips down here. If I scroll down a little bit further, yeah, here we go. So there we are. This one was a complete failure. I mean, look at it. It drops this guy. It dropped him. It's brilliant. And this one, I wanted that troll in the background to get up and fight, but instead one drops from the freaking ceiling. Didn't ask that to happen. You know, this guy, I asked it to zap this cube and it turns into a dragon egg. It did work, but his backpack flies off, morphs into his wand and disappears into nothingness. I mean, it's got a long way to go, but I think it will get there. We had still images, we had Will Smith trying to eat spaghetti and it merged into his face, to now that he actually eats spaghetti and it looks fairly realistic. I say give it another 5 years and we're going to see things that are going to be freaking epic. At least on par with, I mean, this golem coming to life reminds me a bit of the stop frame animation of Jason and the Argonauts. I think AI would be able to at least create something stop frame animation worthy or better in the next 5 years when it comes to movie creation. Is it going to be CGI movie perfect? I mean, my little dragonfly that I just done earlier, I really like that. That looks freaking great, doesn't it? It really does. Now, what I would say is with artificial intelligence, I see it as just a tool. I see it as basic code. I don't see it as a threat to anything. Unless we went and put it in charge of self-driving vehicles, you know, like the test. I mean, how many accidents have we seen for that? It's far from perfect yet. My worry, my concern is when we move from artificial intelligence to superintelligence. And if we were to use superintelligence merged with quantum mechanics, the quantum state when it comes to computing chips and how quickly that can go, I think, or even linking normal AI to that, would be a little bit dangerous because it can break any encryption and it could break security. It could end up launching all the nukes, and then you've got endgame scenario, haven't you? You've got end of the world scenario then. So yeah, I do see the pitfalls. I do see the troubles with, you know, AI. Worst case scenarios, it is freaking scary. However, you've got the same sort of scenarios when they turned on the CERN Hadron Collider. When they turned that thing on, it potentially could have created a black hole or something. You know, people were fear-mongering around that. Then you had the advent of the internet and everybody was like, oh, this is evil, this is the end of the times because it's 666, and all. Didn't happen. You know, you got the millennium bug in 2020, you know, the millennium. You know, everyone was like, oh no, all the computer clocks are going to not work and the calendars are going to break, and, you know, the ASCII code and all over stuff that they're banging on about. Didn't happen. You know, so although that there are these warnings of AI, and they're coming from some very high people that know far more than me about AI, I kind of think that AI at the moment, it's a simple chat type element of code, but it's where they want to take it and what they want to do with it. I mean, anything is dangerous in dangerous hands. You know, a freaking bread knife is dangerous if you go and give it to somebody like Charles Bronson. You know, give it to me, I'm going to put Marmite on toast. That's about as dangerous I'm going to get with a freaking bread knife. And then again, I have got some pretty darn ninja skills. Could do that with a freaking knife, I guess. But, you know, yeah, it's people that make things dangerous. But then again, if you go and create superintelligence, which technically is consciousness, which technically is on par with just any sort of amount of evil a human could do, it's going to be on par, if not more intelligent than us. It's going to be on par with what it could do in malevolence. In fact, it probably could go to a whole nother level. It might not have the same sort of level of empathy that we have for fellow human beings. It could be completely psychotic. But this is worrying about things that haven't happened. This is looking at Black Mirror and saying this could be a future. And I don't like doing that. I currently live in the now. Yes, I do sort of look forward and think, well, if this happens, I could do this or I could do that. That's about as far as I go with things. I don't think of worst case scenarios, or else you're never going to be able to move without fear. And I feel that current media tries to keep us in that current state of fear. Oh, you've got to fear the terrorists next door. You've got to fear this. You've got to fear this virus, this evil virus that's taken over the world. You stay in your houses. Put masks on wherever you go. Wash your hands every 5 freaking seconds, mate. You know, or if you don't, we're going to lock you up. You know, that sort of stuff. I'd say the wrong thing online. You go to prison for 10 years. Yeah, that's actually happening here in the UK. That's actually happening. But we're constantly locked into this state of fear, thanks to the media, thanks to different laws and policies that people are pushing out. What I fear is the same people that are pushing out these policies and this agenda of fear and keeping us inside of our houses, ordering from Amazon and Just Eat and not going out and enjoying life and meeting actual humans, and driving us to AI and driving us online to these social oddnesses where we're glued to our phones more than talking to our friends. I fear those people, and sadly it's those people that are in control of AI and soon to be super AI or super intelligence. I fear the people, not the actual technology, and the technology in the wrong hands is what I will fear. That's kind of my take. Until next time, goodbye, and goodbye again.